Hello and welcome to Bangladesh Today. I'm MUGDHA Kapoor. In yet another important decision, the War Crimes Tribunal sentenced more prominent members of the Jamaat-e-Islami. Ali Ahsan Mojaheed, who was sentenced to death, and 91-year-old Ghulam Azam, who was given life imprisonment. This has triggered off fierce protests across the country. A report.
Ghulam Azam, 91, the former head of the Jamaat-e-Islami party, was found guilty on charges of planning, conspiring, inciting and complicity to commit genocide and crimes against humanity during the 1971 war. The wheelchair-bound Azam, who is supposed to be the brain behind the war crimes during the 1971 war, reportedly raised a weak objection when the judge read out the verdict.
Professor Ghulam Azam, the then Amir of East Pakistan Jamaat-e-Islami, for his alleged involvement in crimes against humanity. He has been tried for 5 charges and all the 5 charges have been proved. He has been found guilty of all the 5 charges and the tribunal came to a conclusion that he deserves highest penalty of death. But considering his age and ailments in prison, he has been awarded different terms of sentence, totaling a sentence of 90 years or unto death in prison.
Meanwhile, Ali Ahsan Mojaheed, the 65-year-old Secretary General of the Jamaat-e-Islami, was convicted on charges of genocide, conspiracy in killing intellectuals, torture and abduction during the war. Mojaheed looked insolent and screamed wrong judgment when the judge read out the sentence. His lawyer said he would appeal against the verdict.
There were 7 charges brought against Mr. Mojaheed in this case. Out of the 7 charges, 5 has been beyond reasonable doubt proved by the prosecution. And out of these 5 charges, 3 charges have been given death penalty, 1 for the life imprisonment and 1 for the 5 years imprisonment.
Pakistani troops in 1971 attempted to suppress a nationalist rebellion in what was then East Pakistan that was triggered by the jailing of Sheikh Mujibur Rehman. The war ended after Indian troops nearly defeated Pakistan's army. About 300,000 people died and about 200,000 women were raped during the conflict.
Jamaat-e-Islami is obnoxious, illogical, barbarous and vindictive group of people. To me, they are like this, that after 42 years of time, they are going to conduct the trial of the war criminals and crime against humanity. At moment, the Jamaat-e-Islami is still in the field. So, like with your question, I'd like to want that Jamaat should be banned at any cost at moment. What they have done very recently, they have burnt many people, they have killed many people, they have beaten up people, they have destroyed the national asset of the country, they have destroyed the national flag of this nation, and for that we have sacrificed 3 million people's life.
The War Crimes Tribunal set up by Mujib's daughter and current Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is now bringing to justice the criminals of 1971 war.
These verdicts, however, sparked a series of protests across the country. The Jamaat-e-Islami had called for a nationwide strike to register their protest against the verdict. While on the other hand, countering the strike call, the activists of the Ganajagaran Manch hit the streets of Dhaka.
According to officials, several thousand activists of the Jamaat-e-Islami went on a rampage through the streets of Satkhira district, attacking police personnel with sticks, machetes and crude bombs. Jamaat activists even torched buses and cars in the city Chittagong during clashes with the police.
And it was a long struggle of the people which culminated in the election of 2008, and one of the major issue was this trial for the crimes of genocide. So, we see that after 2008, in 2010 the tribunal was established and it started its process of justice. So, this significance, this is the end of impunity for the criminals, which has very great significance for not only for the nation, but for the world at large. And also that truth and justice could be established through due process of law. So this is the trial which now has become a major issue in the country, and also a major issue to tarnish the image of the tribunal, the process of justice, and with the verdicts that has been given for few of the perpetrators, this conflict has intensified. We have to understood that in all other, or in most of the other international crimes tribunal, the tribunal is being held at outside the place of occurrence. The Yugoslav tribunal is going on in Den Haag. For the crimes in Rwanda, the tribunal is in Tanzania. So there is a difference between those tribunals and the Bangladesh tribunal, which is being held in the place of occurrence. And also because of the conflicted scenario, it's a long drawn struggle. So it is not surprising that there was a very concerted effort to against this tribunal, and also when the verdict was announced, a kind of unforeseen violence we have seen on the streets, on different places where the police was attacked, police stations were demolished, and few of the law enforcing authorities members were also brutally murdered, and also a very we will say that a very strong concerted propaganda carried out both within the nation and outside. So when the trial is now going on and few of the verdicts have been delivered by the court, we see an unforeseen violence on the street all over the country. And this was not unexpected, but the extent of violence is really very brutal, and we have to understand it in its political dimension. In 1971, when the Pakistani military forces initiated these acts of genocide, it was supported by a particular political party, Jamaat-e-Islami. And it was not only a political support, it was an all-out support, and they joined hands with the military regime and also helped them in these acts of genocide and crimes against humanity. The auxiliary force like Razakars were formed with the help of Jamaat-e-Islami, and especially the secret killing squad, the Al-Badrs, which resembles the SS during the Nazi Germany and the time of Hitler, who carried out many brutal atrocities like the killing of the intellectuals, which was totally senseless and one of the most brutal act of killing that has been carried over in 1971. And this Jamaat-e-Islami as a political party has gained a strength over the years, and also due to the new resurgence of so-called political Islam, or the within bracket Jihadi Islam, and they have also got many strong international links. And so when the trial has been initiated in the court, also during the deliberation of the justice, these things also came up, and the judges during their observation or during their verdict has also in very strong word elaborated the historical background and the role that Jamaat-e-Islami played in these acts.
The tribunal has in the past sentenced important Jamaat members like Ghulam Azam, Dilawar Hussain Saidi and Kamru Zaman to death, and Abdul Qadir Mullah to life imprisonment. It has also ordered the trial against former Al-Badr members Ashraf-Uzama Khan and Muinuddin Chaudhry in absentia.
So the decision to try those heinous criminals, incidentally, a number of whom belong to Jamaat, is the correct decision. There is no doubt that their crime was not less than those of Pakistani army and as well as the prime perpetrators of that time. So naturally our people wanted it, and they given verdict to the government to try those perpetrators of war crimes. And as a result, when government decided to try them and given some verdict, I mean it was given by the Free Independent International Crimes Tribunal, which is a domestic tribunal and which is upholding the international criminal law, that has been welcomed by our population as well as the civil society here and all over the world, particularly the civilized society. Only a few who were with the perpetrators and who are still with the perpetrators and who are carrying the wrong thoughts and wrong philosophy, they are against it. None but the, able people are against this verdict. So we have welcomed. On the contrary, what happened, those people who were against us in 1971 and still carry the wrong philosophy of hatred, and they are carrying the same mindset as they had been carrying in 1971. They have been united, and they are still carrying those wrong philosophy, and so there are a lot of, defense, as well as there are a lot of defiance from their side, and they wanted to just crush this tribunal, and they wanted to, just to obstruct the whole procedure.
It was the sentencing of Saeedi that set off massive violent protests by the Jamaat and its student wing, the Islami Chhatra Shibir, who had alleged that Saeedi was sentenced to death due to statements of Hindu witnesses. The Hindu community bore the brunt of the Jamaat anger in many parts of the country after the sentencing.
I think in every country, in civil society or in the democratic society, there are few things, there are limits of democracy, that no society permits the hate campaign or hate speech, which is actually the seed of genocide. When we are having this trial of genocide, we will look into that what happened, how it happened, but the society at large should also look into why it happened. And if we ask the question that why it happened, then we will see that how genocides occur. And there, one of the major reasons for genocidal acts, or the putting one group of armed people against the civilian population and carrying such acts of brutality, is the hate campaign, which I think no society permits, and today in all over the world this has become a major issue. And I think what Jamaat-e-Islami did in 1971, what they are doing in today, is this particular hate speech and hate campaign. And we have seen this in case of Delwar Hussain Saeedi, who has been in a malign campaign. They have used all kind of tools to promote such hate speech and hate campaign, and created a lot of devastation in the country. And as a political party, no political party can have this premise, and I think this is something which has a legal perspective, social perspective, and moral perspective, and bringing all these perspectives together, I think the society can address this. And here not only the legal sanction or but also the social support and moral upsurge is also very much necessary. In this complex scenario, there is a new force which has emerged, the so-called Hifazat-e-Islam, which has got nothing to do with Islam, but which is a force that has been nourished by these various groups and also some of the political parties also.
The tribunal's verdict to sentence Abdul Qadir Mullah to life imprisonment and not death ignited public ire that was propelled by social activists who use social media as a revolutionary tool to organize mass protests and raise awareness about the movement. Thousands had gathered in the Shahbag area of Dhaka to stage rallies and protests. Similar protest was undertaken by activists of the Gono Jagran Manch, who took to the streets of Dhaka to protest against the Jamaat-sponsored shutdown. A female activist of Gono Jagran Manch, Sangeeta Imam, hailed the War Crimes Tribunal verdict against Mojaheed.
আমরা গণজাগরণ মঞ্চ হরতাল বিরোধী মিছিল করছি আজকে। হরতালের কারণটা যারা দেখিয়েছে জামাত শিবির, যে মুজাহিদের যে রায় হয়েছে কালকে, আমরা যে প্রত্যাশিত রায় পেয়েছি, ফাঁসির রায়, সেই রায়ের বিরুদ্ধে তারা এই হরতাল করছে। আমরা মনে করি জনগণের দাবি ছিল এই ফাঁসির রায় হয়েছে, আমরা খুশি, আমরা আনন্দিত।
5 more Jamaat leaders and 2 from the Khalida Zia-led BNP are also on trial. According to the government, the tribunal is due to deliver verdicts in these remaining cases soon.
Bangladeshis desperately want a closure to the wounds of 1971, and the War Crimes Tribunal and the Sheikh Hasina government are slowly but steadily ensuring that justice is delivered fairly. More on that in the coming episodes. Thank you for watching Bangladesh Today.